I accidentally sat in on a C-suite meeting during my first week, introduced myself, and then had to pretend it never happened. This was about 2 years ago, and I've told exactly one person, my roommate, who laughed until she cried and then said, "You have to take that to the grave." It was my third day at a new job. I was still in that phase where every hallway looks identical and you're so scared of seeming incompetent that you just walk confidently everywhere and hope for the best. I had a calendar invite for an onboarding session in Conference Room B at 2 p.m. I found a room with B on the door, walked in, sat down at the big table, opened my laptop and started setting up my notes document. There were maybe 8 people already seated. Everyone looked busy and slightly stressed, which seemed completely normal to me because it was my third day and everyone seemed slightly stressed all the time. Nobody questioned why I was there. I assumed this was just how onboarding worked at this company. Then the woman next to me smiled and asked which department I was from. And I, a normal, confident person on my third day who did not want to seem lost, said, "Oh, I just joined the marketing team last Monday. Still figuring out where everything is?" And she nodded and turned back to her laptop. I was so proud of myself for sounding casual. 2 minutes later, someone closed the door and a man at the head of the table started talking about Q3 acquisition strategy and a competitor by name in a way that was absolutely not entry-level onboarding material. I remember thinking, this is pretty advanced for day 3, and just kept taking notes because I genuinely did not want to look unprepared. I was there for approximately 11 minutes before I quietly checked my calendar invite again and noticed the room number had a floor prefix I had completely missed. My onboarding was on the 2nd floor. I was on the 4th floor. The people in this room were almost certainly very senior, and this meeting was almost certainly confidential. I closed my laptop slowly, said, "Sorry, wrong room," in the most normal voice I could produce, and walked out. The woman I had introduced myself to watched me leave. The man presenting did not stop talking. I found my actual onboarding. It was fine. 4 people, a slide deck about company values. The notes I took in the wrong room sat in my laptop for a week. When I finally read them properly, 2 things turned out to be genuinely relevant context for a project I got assigned a month later. I used that context. It helped. I did not explain where it came from. I still work there. The woman I introduced myself to became a fairly senior figure in a department that occasionally works with mine. She has never mentioned it. I have never mentioned it. We have had maybe 6 normal professional interactions since then, and every single time I wonder if she remembers. I now triple-check every calendar invite before walking into any room. Didn't realize how racist society is until moving to California as a young white girl. I grew up in a place where 95% of people were white and liberal, for the most part, college town. Most people are very open-minded and unjudgmental. It was just the culture. We never talked negatively about other races and honestly never thought much of the difference. Of course, we had our suburban teens who thought it was cool to say the N-word, but they weren't genuinely racist, just ignorant. Anyways, I moved to California and I instantly become a minority in the area I live in. Most people are Mexican or Asian, and in the city next to mine, most people are black. I didn't really think anything of this until I realized the white people here are genuinely racist, and it kind of shocked me. I thought for the most part this stuff was left in the past. But other white people are talking to me about racist things like it's no big deal and it's not even a joke, they're serious. Another thing is a lot of Mexican people I met are very racist towards black people. I don't know if I just moved to a weird part or if I was just sheltered from how normalized racism is now in America, and how people can now openly talk about how much they hate Jewish people. That's crazy to me. Also noticed I get special treatment a lot from Mexican and black men. Extremely flirtatious, and will even admit it's very influenced by me being white. I am just baffled by this. Honestly, I thought this was something mostly abolished in America. I guess nug. I was just sheltered. I also should add that I am Wasian and was adopted by a white family, but I never really felt Wasian growing up because no one made a big deal out of my race. I come here and everyone is asking if I'm Hapa, which I didn't even know what that was, or making little joking comments about my race like randomly playing Asian music. I didn't even consider myself Asian until I moved here because I wasn't involved in the culture. It's just what I look like. I secretly submitted myself naked for my photography assignment, so I have to take a mandatory photography class for school, very much against my will because while the teacher's cool, I really don't care for it. But yeah, we have this big assignment where we have to submit a picture to be displayed, and while the teacher was going through examples, she showed a couple pics that had some nudity. And I was like, shit, can we do that? So I asked her after the class if my picture could feature a naked model or something, and she was like, yeah, for sure, as long as it's not straight up pornographic. So I thought, it'd be really funny if I don't know, took pictures of myself and pretended it was someone else. So yeah, I did it. It was a little complicated because I had to set up the timer and keep my head any recognizable features out of frame, while also trying to make it look artsy so it's not just a stock photo of a naked girl. But I did it. A bunch of classmates and the teacher have told me it looks great, and I can tell they don't know they're looking at me. And in like a month, all of our pictures are getting displayed, which is crazy. But yeah, that's it. I think it's pretty awesome. My sister is 100x hotter than me, and I'm jealous. My sister and I both have the same parents, only one difference. My sister is hot, I mean supermodel hot. 5'8" hourglass figure, long blonde hair. She's literally perfect. Think Margot Robbie, except I may even say my sister is more attractive. People would stop us on the street to tell our mother that her daughter should be a model. My mom would post family pictures of all of us on Facebook, and friends would comment, "Your sister should be a model, she is absolutely gorgeous." Men literally flock to her by the dozen. No matter where we go or what we do, there are at least 2-3 men stopping her to ask for her number. I also believe she has gotten more opportunities than me in life because of her attractiveness. One example would be how she met a random old man in the bar one night, and after a conversation with him about her old car continuing to break down, he told her to meet him at the dealership in the morning and he would buy her a new car. Yup, that happened. Still driving it to this day. Me, I would say I'm below average attractiveness. Nothing worth looking at or fighting over. Guys just don't seem interested or even notice my presence at all. There's a part of me that can't help but to be jealous of my sister. I hate going out with her because of the awkwardness when men approach her and ignore me. Sometimes they will shake my hand and introduce themselves, but 99% of the time they just ignore me altogether. I wish I could feel as attractive as her for once in my life. I guess that's my confession for the day.
I never thought a missing heirloom would ruin our newlywed life. I'm in the worst situation and don't know how to handle it since at our wedding last month, my grandmother's antique bracelet went missing. She'd lent it to me as my something borrowed, and I wore it during the ceremony, then took it off for the reception. I left it with my mother-in-law for safekeeping, and when I asked for it back at the end of the night, she didn't have it. She swears she put it in her purse, but it's not there. The bracelet is worth about $6,000 and has been in our family for over 100 years. Now my side of the family is insinuating that someone from my husband's family took it. There's absolutely no evidence of this, but tensions are high because the bracelet is irreplaceable. My husband's family is offended by the accusations, and mine is demanding we investigate. I'm caught in the middle trying to keep the peace, while also being devastated about losing my grandmother's bracelet. This is affecting our newlywed life because now family gatherings are awkward and there's weird tension. How do I navigate this without making things worse? The bracelet is gone either way, but the family drama is ongoing.